The gleaming halls of the Galactic Council headquarters stretched before Ambassador Marcus Caney as he stepped off his transport ship. The massive structure orbited a neutral star system, designed to showcase the architectural styles of all 27 member species. Towering crystalline spires reached toward distant stars, while gravity-defying arches connected sprawling platforms. It was meant to inspire awe, and it did. Marcus straightened his formal diplomatic uniform, a simple black suit with Earth's new interstellar emblem, a blue planet surrounded by stars. At 42 years old, he had the build of an athlete who hadn't let himself go, though his short-cropped hair had started graying at the temples. His face carried a few scars that the diplomatic corps had offered to remove. He had declined. Ambassador Caney, welcome to the Galactic Council, said a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. I am Coordinator Zelen. I will guide you through today's proceedings. Marcus nodded, his face revealing nothing of his thoughts. Thank you, Coordinator. Earth appreciates your hospitality. Zelen's upper arms made a gesture that might have been dismissive. It is protocol. This way, please. As they walked, Marcus took careful note of his surroundings. 8 years of military training before his diplomatic career had taught him to always map escape routes. He counted 14 security checkpoints, 32 visible guards of various species, and at least 20 surveillance devices he could identify. There were certainly more he couldn't. The Council has granted Earth Observer status only, Zelen explained as they walked. Your petition for full membership will be heard today, but expectations should be managed. Of course, Marcus replied evenly. What Zelen didn't know, what none of them knew, was that humanity had intercepted enough communications to understand exactly how the Council viewed Earth. A primitive, violent species that had stumbled onto faster-than-light travel before learning to stop fighting among themselves. They reached a vast chamber where representatives from across the galaxy sat in tiered seats surrounding a central speaking platform. Marcus recognized most species from the briefings. The insectoid Krell, the gaseous Ventau contained in their environmental suits, the reptilian Sortuk, and others, but his attention was drawn to the Varaxians. 7 feet tall with scaled red skin and eyes that glowed yellow, they were known for their warrior culture and expansionist policies. They had been the first to contact Earth, and the meeting had nearly ended in bloodshed. The human representative may approach, announced a mechanical translation voice. Marcus walked to the central platform, feeling the weight of alien gazes. The vast chamber fell silent. Esteemed council members, he began, his voice calm and measured. I come before you representing Earth and its 4 billion citizens. We seek recognition and protection under galactic law, particularly against aggressive expansion in neighboring systems. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Marcus continued, outlining Earth's recent development of interstellar capabilities, their peaceful intentions, and their desire to join the galactic community as equal partners. When he finished, the Varaxian representative stood. Ambassador Krelvor was an imposing figure, his ceremonial armor glinting under the chamber's lights. The Varaxian Empire questions why we should extend protection to a species that cannot protect itself, Krelvor said, mandibles clicking in what Marcus recognized as amusement. Humans have been spacefaring for barely 30 years. The youngest council member achieved that milestone 800 years ago. Marcus kept his expression neutral. With respect, Ambassador, all species begin somewhere. Earth asks only for the same considerations given to other emerging civilizations. Perhaps, interrupted another voice, the humans should prove their worthiness. This came from Ambassador Thaz of the Sartuk Confederation. His reptilian features were arranged in what passed for a smile. The Council does not require proof of worthiness, Marcus replied. Only adherence to galactic law, which Earth has demonstrated. The debate continued for hours, with various representatives questioning Earth's technological capabilities, cultural stability, and readiness for cosmic diplomacy. Throughout it all, Marcus maintained his composure, answering questions directly and simply. When the session ended, the Council had not reached a decision. Coordinator Zelen approached Marcus as the chamber emptied. Your petition requires further deliberation, Zelen said. The Council will reconvene in 2 cycles. Marcus nodded. Thank you, Coordinator. In the meantime, Zelen added, lowering his voice, several representatives have expressed interest in meeting with you privately, to better understand human perspective. I would welcome such meetings, Marcus said, noting the slight tension in Zellen's secondary arms, a sign of untruth among his species. As he was escorted to his assigned quarters, Marcus activated a small device in his pocket that scrambled most known listening technologies. Standard procedure for Earth diplomats. Once alone, he tapped a nearly invisible implant behind his ear. Diplomatic log. Day 1. He spoke softly. Council reception as expected. Primary opposition from Varaxian and Sortuk representatives, detecting significant undercurrents of hostility beneath diplomatic veneer. He paused, moving to the viewport that showed the endless expanse of stars. Command was right to be concerned. There's something happening here beyond normal council politics. The Varaxians are pushing too hard against Earth's petition. Marcus removed his formal jacket, revealing a body more muscular than a typical diplomat's. A thin scar ran from his collarbone to his sternum, a reminder of his life before diplomacy. His personal communication device chimed with a message. It was from Ambassador Thaz of the Sortuk, requesting a private meeting in the diplomatic wing's garden area. Marcus smiled thinly. The invitation seemed innocent enough, but his instincts, honed through years of military service before joining the diplomatic corps, told him otherwise. Log addendum, he said quietly, receiving exactly the invitation we anticipated. Proceeding according to plan, he changed into a less formal outfit, checking that the defensive measures woven into the fabric were functioning. To casual scanning, they would appear as simple fashion elements. To those who knew what to look for, they were the most advanced protective technology Earth could provide. As night cycle fell over the council station, Marcus prepared for his meeting with Thaz. He knew it was likely a trap. The intelligence division had predicted a show of force against Earth's representative to put humans in their place. What the council didn't know was that Earth had anticipated this, and they had chosen Marcus Caney very specifically for this mission, not because he was their best diplomat, but because before taking that role, Marcus had been something else entirely, something the diplomatic records had been carefully scrubbed to hide. He had been the military's most effective operative in the global unification wars, a specialist in impossible situations. A man whose abilities had earned him a code name that still caused hardened military commanders to speak in hushed tones. Deathwalker. Marcus checked his appearance one final time in the mirror, his eyes betraying none of the calculation behind them. If the council wanted to test humanity's resolve, they had unknowingly chosen the perfect subject. Time to show them what diplomacy, Earth-style, looks like, he murmured to himself, and left to meet whatever trap awaited him. The diplomatic wing gardens were a marvel of xenobotany. Plants from 100 worlds grew together in carefully maintained environments. Some glowed with soft bioluminescence, creating pools of colored light in the artificial night cycle. Water features burbled softly, their paths defying gravity in ways that still fascinated Marcus. He arrived 15 minutes early for his meeting with Ambassador Thaz, not out of eagerness, but to survey the area. The gardens were largely empty at this hour. A few maintenance drones hummed quietly as they tended to the exotic plants. Marcus noted their patterns, too regular, too focused. Someone had reprogrammed them. Interesting. He chose a bench near a small pond where floating flowers from the Andromeda system pulsed with gentle blue light. The bench offered views of all major approaches. No coincidence that Thaz had suggested this particular meeting spot. At precisely the appointed time, the Sortuk ambassador appeared on the garden path. His scaled skin had a greenish tint in the garden's lighting. 2 aides flanked him, large males with ceremonial blades at their sides. Not standard for a diplomatic meeting. Ambassador Caney, Thaz said, his translator rendering his hissing speech into standard Galactic. I appreciate you meeting on such short notice. Marcus stood, offering the traditional Sortuk greeting, right hand open, left hand closed. The pleasure is mine, Ambassador. Earth values direct communication. Thaz's eyes narrowed slightly. Few non-Sortuk knew their customs so well. Please walk with me. The night-blooming Jural flowers are particularly impressive. They strolled deeper into the gardens, away from the more populated areas. Marcus noted how Thaz's aides positioned themselves, one ahead, one behind. A standard protective formation or something else? Your petition today was ambitious, Thaz said after several minutes of small talk about the gardens. Many on the council were surprised by humanity's boldness. Is it bold to ask for the same protections offered to other species? Marcus kept his tone light, curious. Thaz made a sound that might have been a laugh. Perhaps not. But Earth is very new to the galactic stage. Some feel you should observe longer before seeking full membership. And what do you feel, Ambassador? Marcus asked, noting that they were now in a secluded section where the path narrowed between tall, dense foliage. I believe. Thaz paused as they reached a small clearing, that actions speak louder than petitions. Something in his tone changed. Marcus tensed slightly, his senses heightening. The aide ahead had disappeared around a bend. The one behind had fallen back several paces. I couldn't agree more, Marcus replied, casually sliding his hands into his pockets, where his right index finger pressed a small button on a device. Thaz stopped walking. Several council members were impressed by your composure today. They wonder if all humans share your diplomatic temperament. We're a diverse species, Marcus said. Like most. Thaz's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Indeed. Though some believe your kind are too aggressive, too unpredictable to join civilized space. Marcus smiled politely. Historical misconceptions can be difficult to overcome. Not misconceptions, Thaz said, his voice hardening. Observations. The Varaxian Empire has studied your species since first contact. They've monitored your communications, your entertainment. Humans glorify violence. Your history is written in blood. Every species has a violent past, Marcus countered. The question is whether we've moved beyond it. Thaz made that strange laughing sound again. Have you? I wonder. The garden lights dimmed suddenly. A malfunction, no doubt. Ambassador Thaz, Marcus said calmly. I believe we're about to have company. Thaz's expression didn't change, but his secondary eyelids blinked, a sign of surprise. What makes you say that? Experience, Marcus replied simply. As if on cue, 6 figures emerged from the surrounding foliage. 4 were Varaxian warriors, their red scales barely visible in the dim light. The others were Thaz's missing aides. All carried weapons that definitely violated Council Station protocols. You've brought friends to our private meeting, Marcus observed, his voice betraying no fear. Thaz stepped back. Not my doing, Ambassador. It seems the Varaxians have taken matters into their own hands. His tone suggested this was unexpected, but his body language told Marcus otherwise. The largest Varaxian stepped forward. Unlike the others who wore light armor, he was dressed in diplomatic attire. Marcus recognized him as Krelvor's senior aide. Human, the Varaxian said, not bothering with titles. Your species has overreached. The Council doesn't need another primitive, violent race destabilizing galactic peace. Marcus sighed. And your solution is? What, violence? Seems contradictory. Not violence, the Varaxian replied. A lesson? One your planet will understand when your broken body is returned with our sincere regrets about this unfortunate incident. I see. Marcus looked around calmly at the armed aliens surrounding him. And the Council approved this diplomatic approach? The Varaxian made a dismissive gesture. Certain influential Council members understand the necessity. Others will accept the facts as presented. Marcus nodded slowly. So they're watching. Where's the camera? This seemed to surprise the Varaxian. He recovered quickly. Observant for a primitive. Yes, select Council members are witnessing this demonstration. They need to understand what happens when unqualified species push too far, too fast. Fascinating, Marcus said. He kept his posture relaxed, non-threatening. And if I were to surrender? Ask Earth to withdraw its petition. The Varaxian's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. Too late, human. Your species requires a stronger message. I was afraid you'd say that. Marcus sighed again, this time with what sounded like genuine regret. For the record, this could have been resolved through actual diplomacy. The Varaxian raised a hand and the others raised their weapons, a mix of energy blades and short-range stunners. Painful but designed to incapacitate rather than kill immediately. They wanted him to suffer. Any last words, Ambassador? The Varaxian asked, clearly enjoying the moment. Marcus looked directly toward where he suspected a hidden camera was located. Just one observation. If you're going to ambush someone, he said calmly, always check what they're carrying. He pressed another button in his pocket. Instantly, the garden's irrigation system activated, spraying fine mist into the air around them. But mixed with the water was something else. a compound that interfered with the optical camouflage of 4 additional Varaxians who had been hiding in the foliage, now revealed by water droplets clinging to their outline. The leader's eyes widened in surprise. "How did you—" Marcus didn't let him finish. With speed that seemed impossible for a human, he threw something at the ground. A bright flash of light erupted, temporarily blinding everyone except Marcus, whose special contacts adjusted automatically. The Varaxians and Sortuk recovered quickly, faster than humans would, but those precious seconds were all Marcus needed. He was already moving, flowing like water between the stunned attackers. The first Varaxian swung an energy blade wildly, missing Marcus by inches. Marcus grabbed the alien's arm, using the momentum to flip the much larger being over his shoulder. The Varaxian crashed into one of his companions. A stun blast grazed Marcus's shoulder, sending pain shooting down his arm. He grimaced but didn't slow. Earth's protective fabrics absorbed most energy weapons, but not all. "Take him down," the Varaxian leader shouted. 2 attackers rushed Marcus from opposite sides. He dropped to the ground at the last moment, causing them to crash into each other. As he rose, a Sortuk aide caught him with a powerful blow to the ribs. Marcus felt something crack, but adrenaline kept the pain at bay. He countered with a precise strike to a nerve cluster at the base of the Sortuk's neck, a vulnerable point in their species. The aide collapsed, temporarily paralyzed. More stun blasts filled the air. One hit Marcus squarely in the back, sending him to his knees. His vision blurred as electricity coursed through his body. The Varaxian leader approached, triumph in his yellow eyes. "Not so diplomatic now, are you, human?" he taunted. Through gritted teeth, Marcus managed a smile. "I'm just getting started." The Varaxian laughed and raised his weapon for another closer shot, one that would cause excruciating pain. He never got the chance. A hidden blade shot from Marcus's sleeve into his hand, and in one fluid motion he slashed the Varaxian's leg. The alien howled in pain and staggered back. Marcus tried to stand, but another stun blast hit him from behind. This time he fell face first onto the garden path. 2 Varaxians pinned him down while a third prepared a neural disruptor, a device that would leave him conscious but unable to control his body. "The Council will see how weak humans truly are," one Varaxian hissed. As the neural disruptor touched the back of his neck, Marcus closed his eyes. Not in defeat, but in concentration. The device activated with a high-pitched whine. Electricity and targeted neural impulses shot through Marcus's nervous system, designed to override his brain's control of his body. The Varaxian stepped back, expecting to see a helpless, paralyzed human. Instead, Marcus lay still for exactly 3 seconds, then his eyes snapped open. They weren't the same eyes anymore. The warm brown had been replaced by an unnatural blue glow, the sign of active military-grade neural implants that Earth's enemies had learned to fear during the Unification Wars. Pain radiated through Marcus's body as the neural disruptor sent its signals racing along his spine. For most beings in the galaxy, this would have been the end of the fight. The device was designed to override nervous systems across dozens of species, but Marcus Caney was not most beings. As the electric fire spread through his nerves, deep within his brain, dormant systems flared to life. Military-grade implants, illegal in Council space and unknown to anyone outside Earth's most classified programs, activated in response to the attack. The pain didn't stop, but suddenly it didn't matter. In his mind, a familiar voice, his own, but colder, spoke with mechanical precision. Emergency protocols initiated. Combat systems online. Adrenal enhancers deployed. Neural shields active. Damage assessment in progress. Behind his eyes, memories flashed in rapid succession. A burning village on the outskirts of New Damascus. Marcus, 10 years younger, moving through smoke and flames as rebel forces scattered before him. A space station orbiting Europa. Terrorists holding 50 scientists hostage. Marcus entering through an airlock considered too dangerous to approach. A jungle base on Earth's last divided continent. Marcus alone sent to eliminate a warlord protected by 200 loyal soldiers. He left with the mission complete, walking past the bodies he'd left in his wake. In the present, the Varaxian who had applied the neural disruptor stepped back, expecting to see a helpless human diplomat. Instead, he saw Marcus's eyes snap open, now glowing an unnatural blue. "Impossible," the Varaxian hissed. "No species resists a Class 3 disruptor." Marcus rose to his feet with mechanical precision. movements unnaturally fluid despite his injuries. Blood trickled from his nose, a side effect of the implant's activation. What? What are you? One of the Sortuk aides asked, backing away. When Marcus spoke, his voice had changed. Lower, flatter, devoid of the diplomatic warmth. I am what Earth sends when diplomacy is expected to fail. The Varaxian leader recovered from his shock first. Kill him now! 3 attackers rushed forward. Marcus moved with impossible speed. His right hand caught the first attacker's wrist, twisting with such force that the alien's arm broke with a sickening crack. His left elbow struck the second attacker's throat with precision, crushing their windpipe. The third managed to slash Marcus's side with an energy blade, cutting through his clothing and into flesh. Marcus didn't flinch. The wound was deep, but his implants were already closing blood vessels, minimizing bleeding while flooding his system with combat stimulants and painkillers. Target assessment complete, Marcus said, his voice eerily calm as he addressed the remaining attackers. 8 hostiles. 2 Sortuk, 6 Varaxian, threat level, moderate. Recommended action, neutralize. The clinical assessment terrified the aliens more than anger would have. This wasn't the reaction of a diplomat fighting for his life. This was something else, cold, calculated, inhuman. What's happening? Ambassador Thawes demanded, backing toward the garden exit. This wasn't the plan. The Varaxian leader fired his weapon directly at Marcus's chest. The energy blast hit him squarely, burning through his outer clothing. Marcus staggered slightly but remained standing. Damage recorded, he stated flatly. Retaliation authorized. Marcus moved again, this time with purpose rather than reaction. He closed the distance to the Varaxian leader in 2 swift strides. The alien tried to fire again, but Marcus was already inside his guard. His hand struck like a spear, fingers rigid, targeting a cluster of nerves where the Varaxian's neck met his shoulder. The leader dropped, his nervous system temporarily overloaded. The remaining attackers spread out, trying to surround Marcus. They had abandoned any pretense of taking him alive. Energy weapons fired from multiple directions. Marcus dropped and rolled beneath the blasts. His movements had a fluid, almost predatory quality now. From his sleeve he produced another hidden blade, thin but incredibly sharp. With a flick of his wrist, he sent it flying toward the nearest Varaxian. The blade embedded itself in the alien's thigh, striking a major artery. The Varaxian collapsed, trying to stem the sudden flow of blood. External systems online, the voice in Marcus's head announced. Tactical overlay activated. His vision changed, the world taking on a blue tint. Target information appeared in his field of view, highlighting vulnerabilities, suggesting attack vectors, calculating success probabilities. Ambassador Thawes had reached the garden entrance, frantically trying to open the sealed door. Marcus had locked it remotely when he'd first activated the emergency systems in his pocket. Open this door, Thawes shouted. The human has gone mad. Negative, Marcus replied, though he was focused on the remaining attackers. No exits until this diplomatic session concludes. A Varaxian rushed him from behind. Without turning, Marcus sidestepped at the last moment, catching the alien's arm and using the momentum to slam him into the ground with bone-crushing force. Warning: combat duration exceeding safe parameters. Biological systems showing strain. Recommend conclusion within 4 minutes. Marcus acknowledged the internal warning. Despite the enhancements, his body was still human. The implants could only push his system so far before permanent damage occurred. He needed to end this quickly. From his boot, Marcus retrieved a small silver sphere, another device that would have been detected by normal Council security scans. With a precise movement, he activated it and tossed it into the center of the remaining attackers. The sphere exploded in a shower of microscopic needles, each coated with a fast-acting sedative developed for Earth's most dangerous predators. 2 Varaxians and 1 Sortuk dropped immediately as the needles penetrated their exposed skin. The last Varaxian standing backed away, fear evident in his yellow eyes. What are you? He repeated the question asked earlier. Marcus stalked toward him with predatory grace. I am a message. The Varaxian turned to run, but Marcus was faster. He launched himself forward, tackling the much larger alien to the ground. With clinical efficiency, he struck precise points on the Varaxian's body, pressure points that Earth's xenobiologists had mapped after first contact. The alien went limp, conscious but paralyzed. The garden fell silent except for the groans of the injured and the soft bubbling of water features. Marcus stood in the center of the fallen attackers, his glowing eyes surveying the scene. Blood, both his and theirs, stained his tattered diplomatic attire. His breathing was controlled but heavy. The implants were working overtime to keep him functioning. He walked to where he suspected the hidden camera was located. With a quick movement, he reached into the foliage and retrieved a small recording device. He looked directly into its lens. To the council members watching this transmission, he said, his voice steady despite his injuries. Consider this a formal response to your informal diplomatic approach. Marcus paused, letting the camera capture the scene of defeated attackers behind him. Earth sent me as a diplomat because we genuinely desire peaceful relations. But make no mistake, I am not an exception among my kind. I am a reminder of what humanity is capable of when threatened. He turned the camera to show Ambassador Thaz, who had given up trying to open the door and now stood frozen against the wall. Ambassador Thaz kindly assisted in arranging this demonstration. I'm sure he'd be happy to explain his role to the full council. Thaz's scales paled to a sickly yellow. They'll never believe you, he hissed. A primitive human against trained killers. Impossible, Marcus smiled coldly. That's why I made sure to record everything from my perspective as well. He tapped the nearly invisible device behind his ear. Standard procedure for Earth diplomats. We've learned to be cautious. He turned back to the camera. Earth's petition for council membership will be reconsidered tomorrow. I look forward to a more productive discussion. With that, he crushed the recording device in his hand. Warning. System overload imminent. Critical medical attention required within 30 minutes. Marcus acknowledged the internal warning. The combat drugs were wearing off, and the full extent of his injuries would soon make themselves known. He had multiple broken ribs, a deep cut in his side, electrical burns across his torso, and internal bleeding that the implants were struggling to contain. He tapped his communication device, connecting to Earth's secure channel. Deathwalker to command, he said quietly. Diplomatic incident resolved. Request medical extraction. And inform the council that tomorrow's session will require their full attention. As he waited for a response, Marcus looked down at the Varaxian leader who was beginning to regain movement in his extremities. Tell your masters, Marcus said, kneeling beside the alien despite the pain it caused him, that Earth didn't survive its violent history by chance. We survived because we mastered it. The Varaxian's eyes widened in understanding and fear. Marcus stood again, steadying himself against a garden feature as the adrenaline began to fade and the pain intensified. Combat systems powering down, reverting to standard operational parameters. Warning, significant medical attention required. As the blue glow faded from his eyes, returning them to their normal brown, Marcus Caney, diplomat, soldier, deathwalker, prepared for the next phase of his mission. The message had been delivered. Now it was time to see how the Galactic Council would respond. The medical bay of Earth's diplomatic vessel hummed with activity as doctors worked on Ambassador Marcus Caney. Advanced medical technology, some of it derived from reverse-engineered alien tech, repaired his damaged tissues and bones at an accelerated rate. 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung. Second-degree energy burns across 20% of your torso, and enough neural disruption to kill a normal human. Dr. Chen said, reviewing the medical scans. You should be dead, Marcus. Not the first time I've heard that, Marcus replied, wincing as a medical drone sealed the deep cut in his side. The implants kept you alive, but they've reached their limit, Chen continued. You'll need at least 12 hours before they're fully operational again. Marcus shook his head. I don't have 12 hours. The council reconvenes in 6, Chen frowned. Then you're going in at reduced capacity. Even with the accelerated healing, you'll be at 60% at best. 60% of Deathwalker is still more than enough, came a new voice. Admiral Helena Reyes entered the medical bay, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. As Earth's military liaison to the diplomatic mission, she was one of the few people who knew Marcus's true identity. Admiral, Marcus acknowledged with a nod. The doctors had finished their work and he carefully sat up on the examination table. I've reviewed the garden footage, Reyes said, her expression stern but with a hint of approval, both from the council's camera and your personal feed. Impressive work, even by your standards. I assume the council is in chaos? Marcus asked. Reyes allowed herself a small smile. That's putting it mildly. Half the representatives are demanding explanations from the Varaxians and Sortuk. The other half are suddenly very interested in learning more about human capabilities. And our petition? Move to the top of tomorrow's agenda, though petition might not be the right word anymore. Several previously opposed members are now advocating for immediate approval. Marcus nodded slowly, processing this information. Fear is a powerful motivator. So is respect, Reyes countered. And you've earned some of that too. Not many beings could have survived that ambush, let alone turned it to their advantage. Marcus stood carefully, testing his healing body. Pain flared in his side, but it was manageable. What about Ambassador Thawes and the Varaxian delegation? Thawes is claiming ignorance, insisting he was an unwitting pawn in the Varaxian plot. As for the Varaxians, Reyes's expression hardened. They've filed a formal complaint, accusing you of using prohibited military technology and excessive force against diplomatic personnel. Marcus laughed, then immediately regretted it as pain shot through his ribs. Bold strategy? They're desperate, Reyes said. Their attack was broadcast to select council members, but your counter-response has spread to nearly everyone. They're trying to salvage what they can. A junior officer entered the medical bay and handed Reyes a datapad. She reviewed it quickly, her eyebrows rising in surprise. It seems we have an unexpected visitor, she said, looking up from the pad. High Counselor Zenth of the Arcturian Collective is requesting to speak with you. Privately. Marcus and Reyes exchanged glances. The Arcturians were among the oldest and most respected council members, known for their neutrality in interspecies conflicts. This could be the opportunity we need, Marcus said thoughtfully. Or another trap, Reyes warned. I doubt they'd try the same approach twice, Marcus replied. Not after what happened to the first team. Have security scan him thoroughly, then bring him to my quarters. An hour later, Marcus, dressed in a fresh diplomatic uniform that concealed his bandages, stood in his quarters aboard the Earth vessel, facing High Counselor Zenth. The Arcturian was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that shifted colors with his mood. Currently it displayed a calm blue with occasional ripples of curious green. Ambassador Caney, Zenth began, his voice melodic and precise. I appreciate you agreeing to meet, especially given recent events. Recent assassination attempts, you mean? Marcus replied directly. Let's not cloak this in diplomatic language, High Counselor. Zenth's skin flickered briefly to a surprised purple before returning to blue. Direct as humans are said to be, very well. What happened in the gardens was unsanctioned by the full council. Only a faction, led by the Varaxians, approved this disgraceful action. A faction that apparently included members powerful enough to override security protocols and smuggle weapons onto a peace station. Marcus noted. Yes, Zenth admitted. This indicates a troubling level of corruption that many of us have suspected but could not prove. Until now, Marcus studied the Arcturian carefully. Why are you here, High Counselor? Surely not just to apologize. No, Zenth agreed. I am here because what happened has created a schism in the council. Some see your actions as proof that humans are indeed the violent species the Varaxians claimed. Others, myself included, see something different. And what's that? Marcus asked. A species that understands both diplomacy and strength. One that attempts peace first but is fully capable of defending itself when attacked. Zenth's skin shifted to a thoughtful green. The council needs balance, Ambassador Caney. For too long, certain members have pushed their agendas through intimidation. Marcus moved to the viewport, looking out at the massive council station. Earth wants peace, High Counselor. We've had enough war in our history, but we won't be bullied or manipulated. Which is precisely why I'm here, Zenth said. Tomorrow's session will determine not just Earth's status, but the future direction of the council itself. I propose an alliance of sorts. Marcus turned back to face the Arcturian. I'm listening. My faction will support Earth's full membership with all protections and privileges. In return, Earth will help us expose and dismantle the corrupt elements within the council. Using what happened in the garden as leverage, Marcus concluded. Exactly, Zenth confirmed. But we need more than just your recording. We need evidence of who authorized the attack, who supplied the weapons, who reprogrammed the security systems. Marcus smiled thinly. What makes you think I have such evidence? Zenth's skin rippled with amused yellow. Ambassador, I've studied humanity extensively since your species achieved FTL travel. You're many things, but rarely unprepared. After a moment's consideration, Marcus walked to his desk and retrieved a small data crystal. This contains communication logs between certain council members and the Varaxian Empire. My ship's AI intercepted and decrypted them when we arrived. Zenth's eyes widened. How did you bypass council communication security? Let's just say Earth's digital warfare capabilities are also more advanced than most realize, Marcus said, handing over the crystal. This proves that 7 council members conspired with the Varaxians. 4 of them signed off on the attack. The Arcturian accepted the crystal with reverent care. This is more than we hoped for. With this evidence combined with the garden footage, we can force a special tribunal. An Earth's petition? Marcus pressed. Will be approved before the tribunal begins, Zenth assured him. My faction now holds the majority, especially after many witnessed your capabilities. Marcus nodded. Then we have an agreement. Earth will support your efforts to reform the council, and you'll support our full membership. Zenth's skin glowed a satisfied gold. There is one more thing, Ambassador. Many council members are curious about you personally. Your abilities in the garden have raised questions. Questions I have no intention of answering, Marcus replied firmly. What happened in the garden was unfortunate but necessary. Let's leave it at that. The Arcturian studied him for a long moment. As you wish. Though I suspect the rumors will only grow more fantastic in the absence of facts. Let them. Marcus said with a shrug that he immediately regretted as pain flared in his side. Rumors can be useful. 6 hours later, Marcus stood at the entrance to the council chamber, waiting to be announced. Despite Dr. Chen's treatments, pain still radiated from his injuries with each breath. The implants had partially recovered, but they were operating at reduced capacity. Admiral Rhea stood beside him, now acting as his official security detail. Ready? She asked quietly. Marcus straightened his posture, ignoring the pain. Always. The massive doors slid open, revealing the full council chamber. Unlike yesterday, when many seats had been empty, today every representative was present. A hushed silence fell as Marcus entered. He walked to the central platform with measured steps, betraying no sign of his injuries. As he reached the center, he noted the Varaxian delegation, now reduced in number and looking decidedly uncomfortable. Ambassador Thaz was present as well, his scales a sickly pale color. The council recognizes Ambassador Marcus Caney of Earth, announced the presiding officer, an elderly Meridian whose tentacles quivered with what might have been excitement. Marcus bowed slightly to the assembly. Esteemed council members, I thank you for reconvening to consider Earth's petition for full membership. Before he could continue, the Varaxian representative rose. It was no longer Krelvor, but a younger, less decorated official. Before these proceedings continue, the Varaxian said, my government wishes to formally protest the presence of this individual. Ambassador Caney assaulted diplomatic personnel. Last night, in a savage display of human aggression, murmurs spread through the chamber. Marcus remained calm, waiting for the noise to subside. If I may respond, he said once silence returned. With a gesture, 3 months after Earth gained full membership in the Galactic Council, the station's observation deck hosted a small gathering. The massive viewport offered breathtaking views of the nearby nebula, its swirling gases illuminated by the light of newborn stars. Marcus Caney stood at the center of the group, now officially titled Earth's primary ambassador to the Galactic Council. His wounds had long since healed, though occasional twinges in his side reminded him of that night in the gardens. He wore a new uniform, still Earth black, but now bearing the official insignia of both Earth and the Council. To successful diplomacy, Admiral Reyes said, raising a glass of Earth whiskey, a beverage that had become surprisingly popular among certain Council species. In all its forms, Marcus added with a slight smile. Touching his glass to hers, High Counselor Zenth joined them, his skin shimmering with pleased gold tones. The special tribunal has concluded its investigation, he informed them quietly. 7 council representatives have been removed from their positions for conspiracy and corruption. The Varaxian Empire has been placed on probationary status for 2 standard years. And the Sortuk? Marcus asked. Ambassador Thaz has been recalled by his government. They're eager to distance themselves from the incident. Zenth's skin rippled with amusement. I believe their official statement mentioned regrettable misunderstandings and renewed commitment to peaceful relations with Earth. Marcus nodded, satisfied. The Sartuk were opportunists, not true believers in Varaxian superiority. They'd sided with whoever seemed strongest, and now that calculation had changed. Earth appreciates the Council's swift justice, Marcus said formally. Justice long overdue, Zenth replied. Your incident exposed corruption that had festered for decades. Many species now breathe easier knowing the balance of power has shifted. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Coordinator Zelen, who now served as Marcus's official council liaison. The four-armed alien approached with uncharacteristic hesitation. Ambassador Caney, Zelen began, the Phidian delegation requests your presence at their cultural exchange tomorrow. They were most insistent. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The Phidians, a reclusive species known for their advanced biotechnology, had previously shown little interest in Earth. Of course. Please inform them I'd be honored to attend. Zelen nodded, all forearms making nervous gestures. They specifically mentioned wanting to discuss military applications of neural technology. The gathering fell silent. Since the garden incident, many council species had approached Earth with similar requests, seeking alliances, technology exchanges, or defense agreements. The revelation of Marcus's capabilities had sparked intense interest in human military potential. Tell them I'll discuss cultural and scientific exchanges only, Marcus replied firmly, as I've told every other delegation that's asked. After Zelen departed, Admiral Reyes gave Marcus a skeptical look. How long do you think we can maintain that position? Half the council wants our neural implant technology, and the other half is terrified we'll give it to their enemies. We maintain it as long as necessary, Marcus said. Earth isn't here to become the galaxy's arms dealer or enforcer. Yet that's exactly how many see us now, Zenth observed, his skin shifting to a thoughtful blue. The garden incident created a particular impression of humanity, Marcus sighed. An impression I reinforced for better or worse. For better, Reyes insisted. Your actions gained us respect we couldn't have earned through traditional diplomacy alone. Not in decades. A soft chime from Marcus's communication device interrupted the conversation. He checked the message and frowned slightly. If you'll excuse me, I have a priority call from Earth Command. Marcus moved to a private communication booth at the far end of the observation deck. Once inside, he activated the secure channel. The holographic display flickered to life, showing General Diane Santos, head of Earth's Diplomatic Security Division and Marcus's direct superior. Ambassador, Santos greeted him, her expression serious as always. Congratulations on the tribunal outcome. Thank you, General. Though I suspect you didn't call about that. Santos nodded briskly. We've received some concerning intelligence. The Varaxians aren't taking their humiliation well. Our sources indicate they're planning something dramatic. To restore their standing, Marcus frowned. Another direct attack would be suicide after the tribunal. Not an attack, Santos clarified. They're spreading rumors about Earth, specifically about our true capabilities and intentions, claiming we have a fleet of soldiers like you hidden throughout Council space. That Earth plans to gradually take control of the Council through intimidation. Hardly original propaganda, Marcus noted. No, but effective. Fear spreads faster than facts. Santos leaned forward. Some minor species are beginning to believe it. Even a few council members are asking questions about how many other Deathwalkers Earth has deployed. Marcus considered this information carefully. What's our response? That's why I'm calling. Command is divided. Some want to flatly deny everything. Insist you're a unique case, downplay your capabilities. Others suggest we lean into the rumors. Let the galaxy think Earth has an army of super soldiers ready to deploy. Neither approach serves our long-term interests, Marcus said after a moment. Denial will be seen as deception once the truth inevitably leaks. Confirmation, even by implication, would only escalate tensions. Santos smiled slightly, which is why I recommended a third option, one that requires your personal involvement. I'm listening. Operation Open Hand, Santos said. A series of diplomatic initiatives across Council space led by you, demonstrating Earth's commitment to peaceful cooperation. Scientific exchanges, cultural programs, disaster relief, all highlighting our desire to help rather than conquer. Marcus nodded slowly, while simultaneously introducing our other diplomats throughout the galaxy. Exactly, Santos confirmed. We have 12 other operatives with capabilities similar to yours, though none with your specific experience. They're already positioned on various worlds with diplomatic cover identities. This operation would gradually bring them into the open, not as threats, but as symbols of Earth's commitment to protecting our allies. Show enough of our hand to dispel the worst rumors, while emphasizing our peaceful intentions, Marcus summarized. It's a delicate balance. One you're uniquely qualified to manage, Santos said. The Council already knows what one Deathwalker can do when provoked. Now show them what humanity offers when respected as equals. Marcus looked out through the booth's small window at the gathering on the observation deck. Representatives from a dozen species now mingled there, many of whom had been suspicious or hostile toward Earth just months ago. I'll need full diplomatic authority to negotiate agreements on site, he said, turning back to Santos. No delays waiting for approval from Earth. Already arranged, Santos replied. The necessary documents will reach you within the hour. After concluding the call, Marcus rejoined the gathering, his mind already planning the complex diplomatic maneuvers ahead. Admiral Reyes noticed his expression and moved closer. New orders? She asked quietly. A new approach, Marcus corrected. One that might finally let me be more diplomat than soldier. Before he could elaborate, a commotion near the entrance caught everyone's attention. A delegation of Krell, insectoid beings nearly 7 feet tall, entered the observation deck. Their presence was unusual. The Krell rarely participated in informal gatherings. The lead Krell approached Marcus directly, mandibles clicking in what xenolinguists had identified as a sign of respect. Ambassador Caney, the Krell said through a translator device. I am First Delegate Vikalith of the Hive Worlds. We request formal audience. Marcus bowed in the Krell manner, head lowered, hands open at sides. The honor is mine, First Delegate. How may Earth assist the Hive Worlds? The Krell's compound eyes gleamed in the nebula's light. Not assistance, alliance. The Hive Worlds face incursion from beyond Council space. Unknown species. Highly aggressive. We seek defensive partnership. Murmurs spread through the observation deck. The Krell were among the most militarily powerful Council members. If they sought help, the threat must be significant. Has the Council been informed of this incursion? Marcus asked. Council protocol slow, bureaucratic, ineffective. The Krell's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of frustration. Earth acts. Earth protects its representatives. The Hive respects strength matched with restraint. Marcus exchanged glances with Admiral Reyes, who gave a subtle nod. This was exactly the sort of opportunity Operation Open Hand was designed for. First Delegate, Earth would be honored to discuss a defensive alliance with the Hive Worlds, Marcus said formally. I suggest we convene a proper meeting tomorrow to explore the details. The Krell made a gesture of agreement. Tomorrow, yes, bring your military advisors. The insectoid being leaned closer, voice lowering. Bring Deathwalker wisdom. As the Krell delegation departed, Zenth approached Marcus, his skin rippling with concerned purple tones. That was unexpected, the Arcturian observed. The Krell have always maintained strict neutrality in Council affairs. Times change, Marcus replied simply. Indeed they do, Zenth agreed, studying Marcus with newfound curiosity. I suspect